Kindreds, it's Jessica, and it is that wonderful time of the year again when we look at some options for witchy diaries, witchy journals for 2025 for the coming year. And I'm going to show you what is in all of these gorgeous journals. I've also got some calendars. I've also got an advent calendar. And we can have a look through all of these options, and like they're all good for different things. So we will have a proper look through all of this stuff one by one. I've got the Writual Tarot Planner 2025, and there's been a few updates in that, so I can take you through what is different about that for this year. I've got the Country Wisdom and Folklore Diary and Calendar. This is a really lovely one, and one that I think is like a little bit more like less people know about it, I think. So I'm always so happy to share this, and I think it's getting like more and more pretty every year as well. So that's a really lovely one. They also sent me an advent calendar, which is so cute. They do those every year as well. They're really like a husband and wife business, and they're just so sweet. They're lovely. And then Earth Pathways, gorgeous calendar. These calendars are really lovely. They've always got really beautiful artwork. I'll obviously zoom out so you can see all these things properly. And the Earth Pathways calendar diary, which we'll go through. I've got the Honeycomb Astrological Diary, which I've already, as you can see, I've got bits and pieces in there because this one actually starts in September. It goes September to September. That's just how it's worked out for, you can have them for all different types of things. It's completely personalised. So I'll show you that. I think I'm going to make a separate video about this one specifically as well, like how I use it, because I think sometimes people get this and then aren't quite sure how to use it, and it is amazing. So I want people to kind of get the best out of it. And I've also got the Wee Moon for 2025 as well. The theme is Growing Edge this year, so we'll have a look through that too. So let's start off with the Wee Moon. This is a diary that has been running for like 44 years or something like that at this point. Really absolutely gorgeous artwork from all over the world. It's based in the United States, but it does, like, you know, it's still relevant everywhere, although the timings, I'll show you that in a minute, because like with all of these there's like pros and cons for different areas, and obviously there's other options as well. Do let me know in the comments as well if you use different diaries, different options, and why you use them, because I think this video, like I make this video every year now, and it's a really lovely resource for people to kind of look at these diaries also, but people also share the other options that they're using, like in different parts of the world as well, because like none of these diaries that I'm showing you have got Southern Hemisphere times, and I'm aware that there are options with those as well. So yeah, share the ones that you like, the ones that you use, and why you use them, so that people in the comments can see what it's all about. So the Wee Moon, like, it follows the same sort of structure every year. So if you've had this one before, then it is really lovely. It is a very woman-centric, woman-led diary. It explains like how to use it, about the book, the days and the years and stuff. There's always a really good astrological overview of the year, which I find really interesting. You know, sometimes the astrological overviews and things can be a little bit like just generic, I suppose, but in the Wee Moon it does tend to get a little bit more brave, I think, and it's usually very accurate as well, which is really good. It's written by Heather Rowan Robbins this year, I think most years. There's an astrological year at a glance, which gives you a bit of information about what's going on. This is all like obviously the front matter stuff. When we've got eclipses this year, Mercury retrograde in 2025, and then they include information about the Chinese New Year as well. So 2025 is the year of the snake. That's what we'll be moving into in February or January, very end of January actually this year. And then they have like a little bit of something a little bit different, but also still connected to the astrology. So they'll have, like this time it's got Taking Our Place in Space. And the main reason that I love, like you can probably already see, there's some gorgeous artwork. Oh, look at this. So this is an essay on decolonizing and desettling witchcraft, freeing our witchy ways from Eurocentric settler colonialism. So you can see that there's kind of like there is a political agenda behind this date book. And I suppose I resonate with it because it is one that, like, it's a very goddess-centric take, which is why I really like this. If the only reason why, like, I've got this as many years as I've known that it exists, so I've got quite a lot of these diaries. I dread to think like 20 odd of them, but there is the drawback of them is that the time zone for me in the UK, in Wales, it's not the right time zone for me. But, you know, like in the old days when they weren't UK based ones with the UK time zones, I didn't let that worry me really. I just carried on enjoying the artwork and the the poems, and it's just, you know, very well put together. And you can get them in different bindings as well. So you can get them like loose bound if you want to put them in a filofax, or you can get them in like spiral bound. This year I've just got them in the what's that called? Like the closed bound option. And I tend to pull mine apart. I do pull things out of them to put into my diary, because I don't use these as actual diaries, but I do pull them out to put into my my journal. You know, I've got like I'm going to be doing a journal flip video later as well, so that'll probably be coming out soon. So I pull pieces out of maybe there's not of those ones, but yeah, I take things out of them basically and stick them into my diary so that I can use them as like ephemera in my diary. But you know, you can obviously use them as actual diaries as well. Yeah, and they're structured with the moon phases. So every new moon, it has a new kind of like starting point, a new kind of mini theme within the theme. You can see that the moons are here on the on every single day, so you can see the exact phase that is happening. You also have the moon sign. They have the name of the month, and then they also have the name of the month in different languages as well, and they use quite a few different languages throughout the diary. Same for the days of the week as well. So like they've got the days in English, and then they've also got the days in different languages, so you can see that it's not the same. It changes as it goes through, and they do use some quite there's sometimes like Gaelic and some sort of more less used languages in there, which is really lovely thing to do, I think, as well. They have the astrological transits for each day. So like if you are into astrology, if you're using astrology on a day-to-day basis, this is a really good choice for a diary, because it has like a lot of the information that you would be interested in using. It has when the moon's void, of course. It has pages for the wheel of the year, if you work with that. Like I said, the poetry is the main thing, and the artwork is what I love the most about this diary. But then it's also very, very functional, very practical as well. Like I said, the time zone, all aspects are in Pacific Standard Time. So all of these aspects are in Pacific Standard Time. It tells you need to add 3 hours for EST and add 8 hours for GMT. So if you were going to have this diary, you'd need to know that, and you weren't in Pacific Standard Time, you'd need to know what your time zone difference was, so that you can calculate these. Although, like I've written an article recently about this, like a lot of the time with aspects, it's not like, oh, it's exact on this very second and then it's irrelevant, like, you know, before it and after. It doesn't work like that. Like especially with some of the outer planet aspects and transits and things, they're in play for a really long time. So being exactly to the moment accurate is not so important. Although, you know, like if you are working with specific moons and things like that, then it does help to have the exact timing in your time zone as well. So yeah, it's just, you know, really lovely. It's always lovely every single year. It's always very inspiring and very, I was going to say nurturing, and it is nurturing in lots of ways, but it's also quite, it's a call to action as well. You know, it's a call to action for the earth. It's a call to action for the peoples and for the animals here. Let's just read one of these as an example. Holy Mother Earth. The earth is a holy book we open and fall into every day. All the tales of Gaia, ancient mother, life kindler, miracle maker are in this album of life. Magic elements and spirit born of our sacred planet. Dear Earth, your unspeakable wonders of life, compassion, abundance, healing and wisdom connect us for all time. May our hands do your work even when we falter. And that's by Jennifer Pratt Walter. And it's just an excerpt from a longer piece. Lots of really good writers and artists submit work for this diary every year. And, you know, they have a real plethora to choose from when they're getting these beautiful things, and everyone is noted. You know, you can look up the people and find them. If you really like some of the work, you can follow their work then in other areas as well, which is, you know, it's just, there's nothing to not like about it really. Like I said, the only reason why I like to dabble in different diaries, why I started getting different ones, was because of the time zone. I like to have the aspects in my own time zone. So it follows that same pattern going all the way through. Oh, time to order Wee Moon 2026. So that's not normally in there. So they do add some little like extra things. Like that's quite fun as it goes through. Oh, that's interesting. Beyond the Veil. So they say Moon 11, October 21st to November 19th. And I'm actually going to be hosting a circle in the circle of kindred. So is it going to be on Zoom, like a Zoom circle, where we're going to be using the veil and beyond the veil as our theme. So that's really helpful. I've just looked at that now. So I'm going to look through what they have in this section. Which is for like this sort of time next year, I suppose, which makes sense, doesn't it? Because that's why I'm thinking about the veil now for that theme for our circle as well. If you'd like to know anything about like the extra things that I offer, like that free circle and things like that, I'll leave all the information in the description below this video. There's also, we've also got a Discord server where you can, which is also free, that you can sort of connect with other people. It is like, it's a witchy space, but it is very much a kind of goddess-centered witchy space, where people share about their practices and ask questions and things like that. It's a nice space. And if you don't use Discord, if you're on Facebook, we've also got a Facebook Circle of Kindreds, which is really lovely space where people share inspiring things and ask questions as well and things like that. It's really nice. So this bit at the back now, we looked at the main bulk of the diary. Then at the back we've got Wee Moon Evolutions, a community endeavour. So it explains a little bit about the origins of Wee Moon. Like I said, this diary has been going since a really long time, nearly my whole life, and it's just kind of got bigger and bigger really, and grown because so many people resonate with the mission of this diary. They did make a tarot deck as well, which it explains about here, talking about the staff at Wee Moon and their ancestors. So these are the women who started the Wee Moon in the first place, many of whom are no longer with us. And then the contributors. So this is, like I said, everybody who is in this diary, you can find their information here, and it explains like where you can find them, their websites and things like that. And it gives the page numbers where that person's work is. So like quite often there will be people who've got more than one piece of work in here. You can see that person's got a lot of different pages. This person also. So sometimes they will have written all of the like the Sabbath pages and things like that, so you'll see. And Sky Talk, so this is talking about the rhythms of the sky, also the astrology. I love this graphic. It's such a brilliant way of like get a visual for the moon cycle. So it's got the moons going around the outside, and then it's got like the different stages of growth as you go through, and it just links it all really beautifully together into this seed growth. It's just great. It just works so well, and that is in there every year. Some basics about astrology, which is fine. Like it's useful if you're very new to astrology. Like I think if you are very new, you're probably not going to need a lot of these things. But if you're just starting to work with astrology, this is a really good option, and probably a better option than going for something like the Honeycomb straight away. This is really useful. Signs and symbols at a glance. So it's got the planets with all their symbols, the zodiac sign symbols, the aspects symbols, so you can see them straight away. And then there's a few other things as well. They're like apogee, perigee, things like that, which they explain what they are here. The constellations, moon transits, and then the kind of what the planets mean for you kind of thing. I mean, obviously these are all kind of brief, obviously, because they're just like little introductions, but they are they're very condensed and useful, you know, in that way. So they are good for people starting out with astrology, definitely. I'm teaching an astrology course starting this weekend, and I might actually just have a quick look through these when we're going as we're going through these. Just it's interesting to see like other people's take on what each, like, you know, if you're really boiling it down, what does the sun mean in our charts, what does the moon mean in our charts, and just see, you know, like here it's got the moon represents our capacity to feel or empathize with those around us and within our own soul as well. It awakens our intuitive and emotional body, and it's like, yes, that is it. Is that all that the moon is in our charts? No. But like, what would we say if we had to condense it right down to one line, you know, like that, or two lines like that? It's tricky. It's got the goddess planet. So there's actually a whole bunch of asteroids and dwarf planets, like the same sort of size as Pluto. Like people know about Pluto, obviously, because at one point it had planet status, and now it's been demoted again to a dwarf planet. And a lot of people work with Chiron in their chart as well, which is another asteroid. And there's also these goddess planets as well, which Demetra George has talked about a lot in her work, and they're really interesting to kind of layer into the charts as well. So it's adding some extra bits of astrology that not everybody, like I said, is very woman-centric, goddess-centric, so it's layering that in there. And then we've got an ephemeris. So this is, you know, it's small, but then, you know, it's trying to fit a lot of information. We've got the all of the information basically about where all the planets are in the different, different places at different times. So you can see whether they're direct, whether they're retrograde. You can go across and kind of see which planets are in the same places at the same time and things like that. So yeah, it's an ephemeris, but they are handy to have, even though they're really small. So you might need a magnifying glass. I need definitely need my glasses on to be able to see these at this point. Even smaller, the asteroid ephemeris, but to buy ephemerises are very expensive. So I do appreciate that they have those in there as well. Like I said, I do keep my back copies, even though some of them have been ripped about, to refer back to in those ways as well. Although you can obviously use the online ephemeris as well. Astro.com have got really good online ephemeris for hundreds of years on there now. So you can also look them up online. But there's something about flicking through an ephemeris and using a ruler and stuff to actually, there's something very tangible about it that I like as well. So I do like that that's in there. And then we've got the moon, the months, with the moons like this, which is really handy for when you're kind of tracking things, maybe if you have a bleeding cycle, you can track those onto here, or any kind of habit tracking, or planning, larger planning with the cycles that you're doing. I like to see that like that. Again, I don't tend to use these pages that much because I do something very similar in my own journal where I'm drawing this out for every cycle, but it is still, if you're not doing that, then this is handy to have that. This is lovely. This has been in here for years now, and you can see the moon phases through the months, which I just really like. It's a bit more clear this year, actually, I think as well. I think the fonts they've chosen this year are a little bit clearer. Sometimes they go for ones that are very funky, and then it's not that easy to read it. But this year seems very, very clear. And they do tend to make little improvements every year with all of these diaries that I love and I get every year. Conventional holidays, so a list of them. They're usually the US holidays. World time zones. So this will tell you your different time zones so that you can work out where, how much you have to add or take away depending on your personal time zone. 2026 at the glance, and then some advertising pages here then for the different things. So they have lots of other publications apart from the diary as well. And you can see they've got a spiral bound version here. There's a calendar version, a wall version. Greeting cards. I didn't realize I did greeting cards. Yeah, that's nice as well. And then being able to contribute for the 2027 edition. So we've already missed the deadline for the 2026 next year's version. Well, not next year, the year after next version. And that'll be the 46th. So I think that makes this one the 44th edition, which I think is what I said actually at the start. Yeah, like I said, it's been going a really, really long time. And then just some notes pages with some artwork on them. And that is the wee moon, a really, really good choice, especially if you are, like I say, in Pacific Standard Time, and so all the aspects and things will be in your time zone. And if you're anywhere in the world, it's also lovely just to have that access to those write-ups and poems and art. It's a treat. Okay, so next up we have the Earth Pathways. They sent me a calendar as well, a wall calendar, which is really lovely. I'll just take you quickly through the wall calendar. It follows the same sort of format of having a full page, you would hang it up, so it would become A3 when you hang it up, but it's A4 size. And it's got poetry, or sometimes prose, but inspirational writing, and then a beautiful picture which they then kind of zoom out and make the whole background of the page that picture, which is really lovely. And it makes each month very different as well, which is fun. Sometimes calendars are a little bit samey as you're going through. This one is not like that, and I like they have used a funky font, but it's still very readable. You can see in the calendar they've got the moon phases, so you can see at a glance the whole moon cycle for the month. And it has got it's got New Year's Bank Day. So the Earth Pathways are based in the UK, and I often think about their work as being the kind of UK equivalent really of the wee moon. Although the wee moon is kind of more focused on sort of women and women's rights and the sort of decolonizing and things like that, fairness, ethics, those kind of things. And the Earth Pathways is a little more focused on the environment and caring for Mama Earth, but obviously both of them care for both of those things. So this is a really gorgeous hair illustration. You can see that's gone behind for February, really beautiful. So same kind of structure again. It shows you when the sun is moving into the different signs as well, so you can see those ingresses on there, and it gives you exact times for the main phase shift. So it gives you the full moon time, the new moon time, and the two, like the first and last and third quarters. And then we've got March, so same sort of structure as we go all the way through. So I won't like talk in great detail about all of this. I just wanted you to see how beautiful it is, really, because it is really lovely. Like I said, so different, and like I think they obviously try and choose the sort of colours and the art that connects with that month as well, so that like hopefully by May it will be kind of sunny and those colours will be appropriate. And then June, we've got this gorgeous sand art, beach art here. Yeah, and some of this art you'll also see in the diary as well. And like I said, I do find this diary it's definitely up there in my favourite. Like I get this diary every year because it's really lovely. And again, the artwork, the poetry it's a little bit different in neons, like I said, from the wee moon, because it is a little bit more, well, not a little bit more, like it's earth pathways. So like the raison d'etre of earth pathways is more to do with caring for the earth and human connection with earth, and you know, facing up to the environmental issues that we are currently facing here on earth, and what we can do about it, really, you know. And it is I should have said actually about the wee moon as well. The wee moon is also like a non-profit making organization, and earth pathways is the same. It is a the money is raising to go to good causes, you know, when we're using these things. And then we've got a year at a glance planner for 2026 as well, which is handy at the back. I think that's new. I don't remember seeing that in the last one. I feel like there's gardening with the moon. Oh, phases of the moon we've got here. Oh, I love that artwork. Kelly Cracknell, that's beautiful. Really cool. And then a little notes page. Oh, and then about the contributors we've got at the back. So yeah, it hasn't got the gardening with the moon phases. I think maybe that's in the country wisdom and folklore, actually. I do get them a little bit confused sometimes because I tend to use them both, and then I forget what I've seen where. So this is the Earth Pathways diary. It is similar sort of size, a little tiny bit wider than the wee moon. Is spiral bound. I don't think there are any other options of binding. I do love a spiral bound, to be honest, just because it is you know, like it lays flat really beautifully then when you're using it. So that does make it more easy to use in some ways. It's like A5 size, so it's like half the size of A4. So it's still quite a good size to fit in your bag if you're taking it around with you. I do sometimes, like if I am like I don't tend to take these around with me now, but when I did, I used to sometimes put like a elastic band or something around it just to kind of protect the inside of the diary as I'm taking it around. And that goes for all of these though, because none of them have closures like that. You know, like some diaries will have like this sort of thing. They don't. None of the ones that I've got this year have got that. And a lot of the time they've taken these things out because of environmental reasons, you know, to protect the environment by not adding all those extra things that people don't necessarily need, you know. Telling you a little bit about Earth Pathways, how you can buy them. Look at this, beautiful, beautiful solstice sunrise artwork, so gorgeous. Dedicated to all those who care for our beautiful Earth and choose to be open to positive change and the path of the heart. It's really lovely. And like the people who have been, this is about Earth Pathways and the team. And like I get the email, they do a lovely email newsletter where they talk about the different changing of the seasons and things like that. And it's just, you feel part of something when you're using this diary. I feel like, you know, there is something very collaborative about it. It's excuse me. It is just, it draws you in, and it does make you feel, like I said, makes you feel like you're being part of something. So this talks about the seed fund, which, like I said, they do collect money, which they then will give to causes. Generally, it's called a seed fund because they are environmental causes. How to use this diary. So it explains all the different things that are in here. The phases of the moon are all marked on here, and they've got the journey through the zodiac. So very similar to what we find in the wee moon, but this is like UK based. So I find like if you are just starting out with astrology, then it's really good to get a diary that is in your time zone. So if you're in the UK, I think this one is a really good one for getting started with astrology because it has all those things that you need to go through with that, and it's in your time zone already, so you don't have to like be calculating anything or anything like that. And you know, same goes if you're starting with astrology and you're in the United States, then and you're in a goddess mindset, then you're going to want the wee moon for sure. So the moon through the signs, it tells you a little bit about the moon in each of the signs. I'm thinking of submitting for this for the following year, for next year. I don't know if I'll get around to it because there's a lot of things going on at the moment, but it would be really cool to do those. The phases of the moon as well, talking about the different phases, retrograde planets, and then there's festival pages. So it's just telling you that for each wheel of the year, then they've got pages about those, and they're always really nice, actually, really beautifully written. Some numerology. So 2025 is going to be a 9 year, 2024 has been an 8 year, and we're moving on to a 9 year now. So there's a very different feel to a 9 year than there is to an 8 year, you know, so it explains a little bit about that. I was hoping to be able to share with you I created a workbook for visioning. So it's not like a diary for 2025, it's a workbook for planning your 2025, visioning your 2025, and in there I include about the numerology, about the astrology, about making it more personalized as well, so that you can plan your year according to the energetic ties that you find yourself in. So I'm excited to see when people are including different things like that. I wanted to show that with the rest of this, but I haven't been able to get them printed in time, so I'll make a separate video showing you that soonish, so keep a lookout for that. Look, beautiful artwork about the land dreaming, and again, you know, it's the artwork is tying into the theme of the year. It's also really pretty, like they have the sunset, sunrise times for each week, and also the moonrise and moonset times, and you can see like there's not loads of space for each day, but it's, you know, it depends on how many appointments and things you've got. You probably wouldn't be able to use this as a work diary, but if you're just using it as a kind of like a life planner, there's plenty of space. It's got the moon signs, and like I said, the moonrise, moonset, new moon happening on Monday the 30th of December, and then we're moving into January here. So it's very clear, very well laid out. It's got void of course as well. It doesn't have all of the aspects, the extra aspects, as they are in the wee moon. So if you wanted to be like layering in extra things like that, then you want to do that. But it does include some, as you'll see as we go through. So let's show you that. Like it does show you the ingresses of the sun as we go through. Yeah, so like calendar in bulk, lunar in bulk, and some really sometimes photographs, sometimes artwork. I tend to prefer the artwork, I think, and that's interesting actually. I hadn't noticed that before, that the wee moon is all artwork. There aren't photographs, I believe, in there. It all tends to be art. Look at that, that's gorgeous. So it follows the same pattern. Oh yeah, here, look, so Venus is retrograde here, so it's telling you that. So there are some extra astrological things, and Mars is going direct here, so it's showing you like the kind of major ones. So if you're sort of starting out, you're in the UK and you're starting out using astrology, this is really, really lovely to use. Look at that. Yeah, so nice. So I'm going to flick a little bit quicker through here. It also tells you like when clocks are going forward, clocks are going back again, like tied into the UK. That's a beautiful photograph, isn't it? Look at that. Yeah. So it's a little bit different in vibe. Again, like I say, it's all tied into Earth and caring for the Earth and enjoying the Earth, celebrating it. Yeah, life is a gift. I am a gift to life. I am gifting the flow with layer upon layer of life-giving benevolence to spread ever inwards and ever outwards in a joyful celebration of life. That's gorgeous. Oh, and that is actually an extract from Between the Worlds, which is by Glennie Kindred. I'm a massive fan of Glennie Kindred, and she's involved in the in this diary, you know. So that is how, I think that's how I first discovered it, actually, was through her work. She's been a force to be reckoned with about connecting with the earth in a really like animist, real way for years now, you know. So that's, yeah, her involvement in this diary definitely confers it even more kind of status, really, in my view. Oh, look at that. Sleeping Fox by Carolyn Story. Gorgeous. Yeah, look at this. So it's always a treat as you're going through, seeing the different pages. Again, I don't tend to use this as a diary. I have done in the past, but since I've been journaling, I tend to just butcher it, really, and pull bits out of it and use it in my in my own journal, but it's so wonderful to do that. And the spiral band actually helps with that as well, because it makes it easier to kind of pull things out when you need them. I'm just going to the end so you can see all of the pages. So we're nearly there. Look at that. Badger walking on a winter night. You've got the moon phases there as well. I love that. And like it tells you all of the contributors at the end. So if you really like somebody's work, then you can look them up and you can find them and follow them on social media, or you can buy their work from their websites. So it's got the month at a glance with the moons as well in the back of the diary. Oh, and they've got this time, so this is different. So they're not always like this. Sometimes they're a little bit different. This year they've got the different trees. So you've got rowan for January, willow for February, alder for March, ash for April. I really like that. That's a really good addition. Hawthorn, oak for June, going into holly because that's when they transfer over. Hazel, we've got apple for August, blackthorn in September, yew for October, elder in November. And you can see like they've got drawings of the different stages of these plants. And December we've got birch. And then 2026, like at a glance planner, which is handy if you are using this as a diary. You can put things in for the following year. And then just finishes with some notes pages. And then the contributors, you can see, you can look them up and find, like I say, find their work, follow them, support them, because they don't get paid. Some of them do, like if you're contributing a lot, but most of the people who contribute to this diary aren't getting paid for their work. So, if you can support them by going to their websites. And they do actually do, like they do these showcases, or does it say on here? They do make like kind of like showcases of some of the work from people in the diary as well, which is really nice. They are very supportive of their contributors, but yeah, you can obviously support them as well by following up and going to their websites and following them on social media and things like that. They do some other journals as well. I've got the tree journal, and I've like made loads of notes and stuff in there, like hardbacked books, which are really lovely. But the main things they do are these like every year diary and calendar. So yeah, really lovely. And like I said, especially if you're based in the UK and you care about Earth and the environment, then this is a brilliant diary. Next on the stack, we've got something a little bit different. This is the Writual Tarot Planner for 2025. So it is kind of a planner, which I'll show you, but it is more for if you're, it's a tarot journal. So front page, we've got this planner belongs to, and it just gives you a little bit of space to write that in. Copyright, how to use this planner, and then it shows you like what to expect. So they've got like a monthly calendar, a weekly calendar, like goal settings. You can use this, like I say, as a planner. I mean, it is big when you see it in comparison to, like, it's not a 4 or US letter size. It's wider than that as well, so it is quite big. It's not the sort of one that you can be able to just pop in your bag really, but then you're not going to be doing that probably if you're using cards with it anyway, are you? So yeah, if you're interested in having a more consistent tarot practice, or if you are wanting to use astrology and tarot kind of like alongside each other, then this is a really good way to do it. It's a really good like record as well for looking back through the year. I've been using these for a couple of years now, not consistently every single day, but I like the first year I did, and then the second year I kind of like dipped in and out of it. But yeah, it is good. So they've got dates for US and Canada. This is, I believe it's Canadian based actually. I'm not 100% sure on that though. Either US or Canada based, but I think it's Canadian. And yeah, so you can see 2025 at a glance, 2026 at a glance. This is obviously just all the front matter stuff. The 2025 moon phase is sort of similar, but a little bit more like sharp, I suppose, less like arty as the one that is in the wee moon. And then a little bit about what the different moon phases mean, connect with. And this page is brilliant. Like, it doesn't look like anything much, but it's really good. These are really good questions. So there's 3 card spreads, so like, like mind, body, spirit, past, present, future. So like if you're thinking, oh, I want to pull some cards but I'm not sure what I want to ask, these are great. I've used it loads of times to just be like, and then just flick through and think, oh yeah, embrace, accept, let go. Yes, brilliant. I do love a 3-card spread. That's really good. And then there's some questions as well to ask your cards. So like, how can I love myself more today? What habits do I need to change? What do I need to focus on right now? You know, so that's really handy as well. But this I really like, yeah, really useful page. Doesn't look like anything much. Actually, really, really good. Again, this is also really, really handy, especially if you're just starting out with tarot. It's basically these 2 pages have got like all of the tarot card meanings on these 2 pages. So really, really handy. It's got the major arcana going along here along the bottom, and then the minors in all of the suits going across here. So yeah, really, really great for just very quick take on those. And then we've got astrology here as well. So it's got the elements, it's got the modes, the aspects, and bits about the planets and the houses. So again, like a lot of information all condensed down into a like small area really, which is really, really handy to refer back to. So like they're really useful just for those things, and they do have those in there every year. They do these printed versions like I'm showing you now. They also do digital versions, which some people like to use instead. I prefer the physical version, but you know, you'll know whether you prefer to work physical or digital with those things. They give you, every time they give you a birth chart here where you can fill in your own personal planets, and I think that is such a great way of really getting to know your chart, because if you're drawing it out, like it's so easy to just kind of input the data online and then it pops up your chart and you're like, oh yeah, okay. But when you're getting to know it, having it, like drawing it in, you're like, oh no, I'm really connecting more to each of those placements than before. And then you're writing about like where your houses start at, where your planets are, things like that. I use whole sign, so I don't tend to use this, but you know, your mileage may vary with all the different things. You can look at the spread of your elements. You can write out all your aspects to the planets and form into each other. So yeah, I think it's, even if you don't get this diary, it's really worthwhile just doing that, because it does give you a more detailed knowledge of your chart. Like when I first started out, we used to have to like calculate all of this by hand. So you'd have to like physically draw the chart and put everything in. And you do connect differently to a chart when you've drawn it yourself than you do if you're just kind of like printing it out off the internet or just like looking at it on the internet. Sorry, I can hear my daughter like rumbling around upstairs. I'm sorry if that's distracting. Then the year ahead. So this is a year ahead spread, which you can pull going into the year. You can pull a card for each month, and you can pull an extra card for the energy of the year if you want to. And then like a little bit of space for you to interpret that. I know not everyone likes to do a year ahead, but this is quite a nice like just place to keep that and refer back to it then, you know, as you're going through the year. And then the months are all set up in a very similar way. So let me show you. We've got 2025 January, and you can see the days are all mapped out here with the moon phases. If the moon's void, it's telling you when the moon's changing into different signs. It's showing you some of the aspects there as well. So like you can see, there's Mercury is conjunct Pluto on Friday the 3rd of January. You know, it's these sorts of things, opposite Pluto. I was going to say, hang on, that's not right. I was like, they're too far away from each other for that to be possible. But yeah, I get it now. I just said the wrong thing. So, you know, they've got a lot of information here, and there's also space where you could write things in to use it as a planner, but like I said, it's just a little bit impractical from a size perspective to use as a planner, unless you're using it as a kind of a desk planner, which you would work really well for that. And it's pretty, you know, like the fonts and things they've used. It's Ritual very like on point with aesthetics, you know, it is all very nicely done from that perspective, you can definitely see. And so on the January calendar, it's got a December and a February, so you can kind of see the month before, the month after. You know, it is very nicely done, very nicely laid out. And then a planning kind of page for the month as well. So how I want to feel, what I'm looking forward to, my top priorities for this month, any goals for this month. I think that's way too many goals, but you know, you don't have to fill them all out. Intentions, highlights, need to let go of, and then there's some habit trackers down here as well. So if you're not a bullet journaler but you want to do some things like goal setting, habit planning, and things like that, it's really good, really good for that. I do have a discount code for this actually as well. You can get 15% off this planner. I should have put all the prices for all these planners. I haven't done that, but I'll do that in the description box. So I'll put the discount code in the description box, and I'll put all the prices of the different planners, and obviously the places where you can go to buy them in there as well. Month ahead spread, so energy this month, like an overview of your love, your money, your work, your health and spirit for that month. So it's just a kind of like month ahead spread. And then breaking down then into each day here. So January the 1st, so we got our first week of the year. An affirmation is showing you just like, okay, we're in this week now. You can pull a card for the whole week and make some notes. Sometimes it's nice to mix that up a bit and do like an oracle card there, and then use tarot for these. You can get kind of crafty with it, get creative with it. They make stickers which you can use to fill these in, which are really nice. So like you can pull the cards for the different ones. Have I got any handy to show you? I don't think I have. I think I've like filed them. But they do make some really beautiful stickers for those. You'll have to believe me on that. And they also make stamps as well, which I tend to use the stamps more. But I haven't, like I said, I haven't been doing this every day at the moment. So again, that's not all easily accessible for me to show you now. But yeah, you can fill that in, or you can just write, like I've written them in a lot of times, more times probably than I've been bothered to kind of stamp them in. But if you were stamping them or stickering them every day, then it's all going to look really beautiful as well, isn't it? When you filled it in. And again, it's really good to refer back to as well. So that's the structure, the weekly structure as we go through. And then the full moon, so every time we get a full moon, it gives you a space like this to do it, like a double spread for you to do a full moon information, some notes about the full moon, and then for you to pull some cards about it as well. So it's giving you the information and also like asking you to contribute your own take on this particular energy as well. So like I said, if you are new to working with the moon cycles, if you're new to working with tarot, or even if you're not, but you just like to have a more like a structure, scaffold for your practice, this is a really useful thing for that. And then again, we're back to the weekly spreads here, and then we've got the new moon spread. So very similar layout again. We've got the new moon. It tells you the sign that it is in and tells you a little bit about that new moon, and got space for notes for that. And then a new moon spread. So where am I right now? What is influencing me? What have I released since the last full moon? What seeds am I ready to plant? So it's like kind of like closing down that moon cycle and preparing for the next moon cycle. So yeah, really nice. As you can see, like these fonts and everything is pretty. It is pretty. Oh, some extra notes pages there. That's handy. And then February. So same setup again. So I won't talk you through every single page. I will just flick through so you can see the vibe of it and what is there. Like I said, the main benefit of this planner is having a really great place to keep all your readings together, and then you can go back and look at things as well. Like I find a lot of the time the benefit in tarot doesn't always come straight away. Like it does, like you obviously do get benefit out of pulling cards around a situation, just kind of taking note of them, but you get so much more out of it, or I get so much more out of it when I actually make notes, because then sometimes when I look back I'm like, okay, there's like extra levels of information, extra levels of meaning that I would maybe have missed if I wasn't writing it down and referring back to it. So I think it's really great to have a place to do that, a structured place to do that. And you may not want to pull through, like you may think 3 cards every day, that is, and like you don't have to fill them in every day. There's no, just because the spaces are there doesn't mean you have to fill them in every single day, but it's giving you the option of doing that. But they also make a 1 card a day version as well. So like if you are a beginner and you're learning tarot, pulling 1 card a day and like really sort of focusing on how that card shows up in your day is such a useful practice. And so really good for that from a learning perspective. Obviously the 3 cards, I prefer to get the 3 cards because I've been working with tarot for a long time now, so I like the interplay between the cards, and so it's nice to see that, having a 3 cards are my favorite amount of cards to pull in a spread. But oh, now I've said that, I'm thinking, oh, is it though? There's lots of other, I do like a 9 card spread as well. But then that's just 3 sets of 3 as well, isn't it? So you can see it's following the same pattern as we go through. Let me go to the back to see if there's anything extra. I think there's just some extra notes pages. I don't think there's anything radical at the back of this. Let's have a look. Notes, 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 notes. Yeah, just notes pages at the back. So it's just a really, so like, it's useful to have the notes pages because sometimes you're not going to be able to write everything you want to here. So having the notes pages, you can just skip to the next notes page and put the date on, and then just continue from them. Whereas some days I find I can very easily and succinctly kind of write down what my take is on those cards in that space. But yeah, sometimes you're like, oh my gosh, I'm getting so much from this. So having lots of extra notes pages is actually really, really useful. It's just like if you make a note of the date and then you can carry on there. You can see as well in these breakdowns, it's got the topic. So topic, like I tend to write a question here rather than a topic, but I know not everybody likes to use a question, so that's probably why they've written topic instead. But I would write my question here, and then like what the three cards, what my interpretation of those three cards are. So I write what the cards are, or stamp what the cards are into the boxes, and then write my interpretation of what those cards are, and then any additional notes then underneath. But like I said, if you want to take it further, if you want to go deeper, then you can take that onto another one of the notes pages and carry on there. But some, like quite often it's like a snapshot and I've got it and I'm like, yes, okay, that's great. And then I can look back as well, you know, like I can think, oh, okay, yeah, what was going on then? And I'll look back and be like, oh yeah, on the 8th of April, these were my cards and this is what happened, you know. And it's like, it's just, it's a very practical way to get really good at using tarot really quickly, I suppose. And it's very pretty. It is very pretty. And you can use it, you know, for your goal planning and things like that as well. I don't tend to use it so much for that, but that's because I bullet journal. If you weren't bullet journaling as well, then you could definitely be planning, you know, working with your goals and things using this planner, especially like the habit tracker and things like that. Yeah, handy. There's a lot of stuff. There's the astrology, the tarot, the new moon and full moon spreads, the goal, working on your goals. You know, if you are wanting a really structured place for your spiritual practice, then I think this planner is really good, and it's obviously really beautiful. So I'll put the link for that down below, and the discount code and everything. I do get a little like kickback from that if you do buy through my discount code. They do also have lots of other discounts on their websites and stuff as well, so you don't have to do that, but if you do, then thank you very much. I really appreciate you buying it through my code if you do that. Thank you. So this one is really, well, it's probably my favourite. It's my most used out of all of these diaries. I do use them all, but it is my most used. And that is because it is a completely personalised, you can see I've got my name here, Jessica, on the front of it. It's a completely personalised astrological almanac, which has the mundane transits. And by that I mean like what is going on just in the sky in general for everybody. But it's also got how that connects to my personal astrology from my natal chart as well. It's basically like the thing that I dreamed of existing when I was first learning about astrology and I was having to like work out all this stuff by hand. I would have just like, it would be like, oh, wouldn't it be amazing if this was a thing? And now it is a thing. And as soon as I found out about it, I actually found out about it from Tempest Getchell over on Tempest Temple. She was using it, and also I'd heard Chris Brennan talking about it on the astrology podcast, but when I saw Tempest actually having and using hers, I was like, hang on, and I looked it up and I have not gone back. I've just not been able to not have one ever since then. I'm going to show you a little bit about what is in here, but I just want you to know that yours will obviously look different because yours will be personalized to you. And also there are lots of different options available on their website. So I made a video actually comparing some of these options, so I'll link that video as well for you if you are interested in this, so you can see like what some of the different options look like, and to know what to pick. I think also people sometimes like get this because they hear astrologers like raving about it because it's amazing. And then are like, I don't know how to use it because there's no interpretation in here at all. It doesn't tell you what any of this stuff means. It's intended for like people, sort of serious astrologers, serious students of astrology, to be able to access at a glance like their own personal transits and things like that. So it is just by nature a little bit more advanced, and it might be not what you need at the kind of beginning of your journey. But if you're the sort of person who likes to jump in at the deep end, then I would definitely recommend it. So it comes spiral bound. I think there's definitely other options. There's other options for sizes. There's other options for different sorts of paper. You can also have like notes pages as well. So it is so customizable that it's impossible for me to show you exactly all of the options. But just know that if you go to their website, which I'll obviously link down below, it's honeycomb.co, and you'll be able to, you know, choose the bits that you want as you go through, and they're adding extra things all the time as well. So on the front here, it's just showing that it's going from September 2024 to August 2025. I started to get it, I got a 6-month one going from September to Christmas to try it out the first time, and like I said, there's no going back for me now. I'm gonna need to have this. In fact, I kind of want, like, they do other products now as well, like desk calendars and things like that. I'd love to have like a desk calendar with I've got 2 children and my husband. I'd love to have all 4 of us with our personal transits at a glance on, so like each day I could like look at what's going on. But yeah, they are definitely expanding their products and things like that as well, which is really exciting to see. I'm so super excited about it. So again, you know, it's just telling me when this is for. It's a personal astrological almanac. I'm using the tropical zodiac, and I've chosen whole sign houses. You can choose these options when you're choosing your planner. And these are the plugins that I've chosen. I had the solar return plugin, which means I get an extra chart showing me my solar return, which is like when the sun gets to the exact same position as it was when I was born. It's got a chart that I'll show you in here. I had the Hellenistic plugin because I work mainly in traditional astrology with Hellenistic astrology. I like to get the Hellenistic plugin, which means I get a couple of different things in here. Asteroids, I've just got Chiron. When the very first time I got the planner, I kind of went a bit crazy and got loads of different things, and I've pared it back a little bit now because I prefer it to be a bit more streamlined than that. But you know, you can play around with that. You can even not have Chiron if you want to. And I definitely choose the lunation charts. I love lunation charts. I've always loved lunation charts since I started knowing what they were, and so I always choose that. And I would recommend that for you, even if you are a beginner, choosing the lunation charts, especially if you follow my work where I talk about the new moon, the full moon, and I go into like what is in the chart, because I think people sometimes think of lunation charts as being like just one and done on the day of the new moon or the day of the full moon, but they're not. You know, they're signatures that carry over for that whole, it's a birth chart for that month. So yeah, maybe I should do a video about lunation charts as well. And like I said, I will do a video, I think, talking about how I use this planner. I've not written in this because I didn't want to write in it before I made this video. I was hoping to have made this video earlier than I have, but I do write in it, and I think I'd like to make a video showing you how I do that. So it's got my sun is in Gemini, my moon is in Taurus, my ascendant is in Libra, so it's just showing me like at a glance that my big 3, and my name, and at all times are local to Caerphilly, UK, which is where I am. I've chosen, there's like different artwork packages you can choose, and this is the only one that the only artist whose work I hadn't used before, so I went for this one. So this is kind of like a little bit more cartoony. I've gone for things that have been a little bit more kind of like aesthetic in the past, but I just thought it'd be nice to have something different, you know, something new. So that's why I went with that one. But I've run out now. I think I've had all of the different artists' work who's available. So the people who make this diary are the Honeycomb Collective. Like I said, their website is honeycomb.co, and all those illustrations are by Zine Claire, these ones that I've got here, and it's got a contents page of like what is in here, which will obviously be correct to what you've got in your personal one, and then this like explains it, but it's like it's so hard to really, like, you could read through all this, but I think it's when you're actually using it, that's when you start to understand more about like what all this stuff means. And like I have got the zodiacal releasing in here because I've chosen the Hellenistic, but I wouldn't recommend doing that unless you actually want that stuff, because I think it's better to kind of layer things in than to get overwhelmed. But you know, it depends on your personal take on that as well, doesn't it? So it tells you a little bit about orbs and what they're using, things like that. Let's actually look. So there's a lot of like explanation pages, because there's a lot of stuff in here, but once I find it's better to just, like I said, to use it, to kind of plow in with using it, and then be like, oh, okay, what does that mean? And then you can go back and look up these afterwards and see. So it tells you about like having to look at your transit timelines, how you can see the transiting planets and the orbs and things that when it's applying and when it's separating. Planetary speed, I really love that. Like I never really paid loads of attention to that before I got this diary, and now I look at that all the time. And then just like a kind of glyph, so you can see what all of the different glyphs mean. So it's got my natal chart in here. So you will have that. Sorry, I've got a little bit of stuff on it. Like I said, I have had to use this because I can't not use this. I look at it every single day. And it gives me a breakdown then of my natal chart. Because I've chosen Hellenistic, it's given me the more Hellenistic kind of take on my natal chart. If you don't choose Hellenistic, you will still get a chart analysis, but it'll look a little bit different from that, that's all. My solar return, so I chose to get my solar return for next year because I already had my solar return chart for this year in my last one. And I also got the 2026. So when they'll ask you like what you want your solar return chart for, if you choose, again, like you don't have to choose to have that option. If you don't work with solar return charts, then you don't need to have that option. Again, I've got annual perfections because I've gone with Hellenistic. I am 46 years old at the moment, and I'll be going into 47 in my next birthday. So it's showing me here where I am in those annual perfections. If you don't work, I made a video talking about annual perfections. I'll try and remember to link that as well. I've got a lot of astrology videos here on the channel now, and I'm mindful that they're kind of not that well organized at the moment. So I'll try and I'm going to try and I want to make more videos because I know I've been a bit quiet. I'm definitely going to be making more journal videos, but I want to also just like reorganize everything so it's more useful. I feel like I've been on YouTube a long time now, and I've made a lot of videos, and they're not always the easiest to find the information that you want. So I'm going to try and make that more accessible. So I've got zodiacal releasing here. That is a Hellenistic technique, a kind of timing technique. But if you don't know what that means, then I would recommend like not getting that. But if you do, it's brilliant because it's like showing you all the different periods and like peak periods and when there's loosing of the bonds and things like that. It's like, oh my gosh. And it doesn't just do it. You have to choose like the one you want to be the main one that goes through the diary. But then they also show you the other ones, like zodiacal releasing from the other lots in the back of the diary as well. So really exciting. And you probably can tell I'm like I still can't quite believe that this exists and that I can have it and use it. And it just, yeah, it's just amazing, absolutely amazing. Like just my dream has come true with this with this diary. So a chart showing all the lunations for the period of the diary. You know, that's straightforward what that is, except that it has got my personal aspects. So the mundane aspects are in like this kind of grey colour, and then my personal aspects are in this blue. So you can see you know, like it's like, okay, which lunations are going to be particularly potent? Usually the ones that have got loads of stuff going on with them. So I can see like which ones, if they've got lots of greys, like those ones are particularly potent for everybody. And then the ones that have got lots of blue, like this one on the 1st of November, that one is not necessarily like going to be a big deal. This Scorpio new moon for lots of people, there's not lots of like very tight aspects to that new moon. But for me, there are. So, you know, I can, you can just see at a glance these kind of things, and that's the sort of thing I'll probably talk about when I talk about how I use this diary a little bit more, because you probably just want to see what's going on. This is something new that they have they had this before, the planetary movement stations, kind of like a map of, so you can see like it's going direct, then it's going retrograde, then it's going direct kind of thing, so you can see. But this is new, and this is really handy as well, showing you when the planets are going into their shadow periods as well. So when they're going direct and coming back into their shadows. I'm kind of torn now between sort of going into detail about these things, but I don't really want to do that, because if you're not, like you might not know what this stuff means, or you might already know and you're like, I don't need to know about that. I'll make a separate video explaining like this stuff and like why it's useful. You have a chart for your outer planet natal transit, so you can quickly see, okay, there's Pluto, okay, I can see that there's an aspect forming, a trine aspect forming with my moon, and it's like applying here, and then it is exact, or you know, it's like within orb when it's the solid line, and then afterwards when it's separated. There's just so much like detail in these things and yeah, it's just so cool to be able to see it laid out like that, all as it is. So this is that was like all the front matter, and then we're into the months now. September 2024. And I've got the lunations. I love these pages. I use these pages a lot when I'm making my forecasts for the month. You can see that some of them are highlighted because of which my Time Lord is. The Sun is my Time Lord at the moment. So all of the mundane transits that are involving my Sun are highlighted, so I can see they're more important because the Sun is my Time Lord for me at the moment. Ingresses are here, outer planet natal transits, which we also saw on that like long-term charts were there. You can see the planetary shadows and also any aspects that they're forming, the lunations. It's just literally the whole month at a glance. And I include this page in my personal journal as well, because it's just like literally everything for the whole month at a glance. September, we got a cute little piece of artwork here. And then it's not just that one page, you also get then a breakdown of the month, which shows you the lunar transits, it shows you the mundane transit, it shows you your personal transits. You can see all of that on every single day. And sometimes there isn't enough space, so they have like a little overflow space when that happens, because like some days, like look at this, there's an awful lot of stuff going on the 18th, well, was going on the 18th of September. This is obviously for September. It's even got the zodiacal releasing on here as well, so you can see that as a monthly overview as well. It's got the main kind of moon phase changes, so you can see those as we go through the month. It's just really so much information, but you've probably noticed already, no interpretation, absolutely zero interpretation, because that is not the function, that is not the purpose of this planner. It is for somebody who already knows what this stuff means, or somebody who's prepared to look them up, isn't it? You know, you can use this as a learning tool. You can be like, okay, these aspects are happening today. What does that mean? Look it up. You can make some notes in here. If you are going to be doing that, if you are going to have it as a beginner, I would recommend getting the option where you have a notes page as the facing page. I haven't done that because I find I don't need loads of space. I do like to have this little bit of space where I can make some notes on like how these transits actually played out. But you can have this whole notes page here, so you can be like, okay, and you can write more stuff over here then as well, which would be really handy as you're learning, you know. And you might want to focus just on your Time Lord transits, for example, first of all, or you might just want to focus on lunar transits first of all, you know, see how those things are panning out for you, rather than having to take in like all of this stuff all in one go. And there are notes pages still dotted around each month. And then the same kind of pattern then for October. So I'll go a little bit quicker so that you can see, oh, I've got a sticker there. I'd just been away on holiday and I took this diary with me. So a few of my other journaling supplies have like kind of found themselves escaping into here. So yeah, you can see like when the new moons and things are as well. November. So I won't take you through every single month. We'll go a bit quicker through here. Let me know, like I said, if you do want a more in-depth, like how I actually use this, how I apply it, because like this with astrology, I think there's a lot of like head stuff sometimes, but like it's not actually useful if we don't apply it. So we should actually talk about that a little bit more, I think, than the than just like what this is. We need to know how, well, but why do we need to know that for? How is that useful? You know, how can we make this useful to our lives? That is my whole approach with astrology. You know, I always want to be thinking, how is this going to be useful? So we looked at the outer planet natal transits. They had those at the beginning. The inner planet natal transits are at the back here. There's obviously loads more of these because they're moving much quicker. So you can see that there's like more stuff going on. So we've got Mars, we've got the Sun, we've got Venus, we've got Mercury. Those are all the September ones. October, some, you know, like some months you obviously have a lot more going on than you do with others, but they're all in the back so you can see them for each of the months as well. I think that is an option, perhaps. I'm not sure. You do need to like read through all of the different options, all the different plugins. It obviously affects the price of the diary as well, with what you choose to have in there. But they're all quite reasonably priced, to be honest. And you can also get a digital version if you like as well, rather than a printed version, which is even better value again, you know. I don't know if it's even better value, it's cheaper. It costs less, but I love the printed version. I absolutely love it. So these are the lunation charts, which is basically like a birth chart for each of the moons. So we've got the new moons, the full moons, obviously on the eclipses, new moons, full moons, and that goes through for the whole period that I have the diary for, my almanac for. I'll take you through those. Quick tour of the moons. And then at the back, we've got the ephemeris. So it's very nicely laid out. It's not minute, so you can definitely still, I can see this. Even at 46 years old, I can see this. It's got the declinations here as well, which is handy. You know, so it's a proper ephemeris. You can see all the things you need to be able to see on here. And then this is the zodiacal releasing, like I said, from the different lots as well. So I got it from Spirit, especially because I'm working with my son as my Time Lord this year. But you can get it from Fortune as your main one. I think you can get it from any of them actually as your main one. But it's got the extra bits of information from each of the lots here. If you are using zodiacal releasing, again, that's kind of like a holistic technique, which it can be a little bit complicated, but not really once you start to kind of dive into it a little bit more. A little bit about the Honeycomb Collective, and then just some empty pages at the back that you could put some notes in. So yeah, this is just, oh my gosh, I just love it. I just absolutely love it. It is amazing. It hasn't got any interpretation, so it is definitely meant for somebody who's prepared to put a lot of study in, or who already knows or has a handle on what these are. But if you want to be working with your own personal astrology, like using your natal chart together with the mundane transits and like putting all that stuff together and like really unlocking it, oh my gosh, it's just, and like that's basically what I love to do with astrology. That's my whole main thing, you know. That's why I'm teaching my astrology course, which is starting this weekend, and that is how I approach it with the Moonwise membership as well. You know, it's making it practical, it's making it useful, and this tool has now opened that possibility up, because before that it was a lot more work to figure all this stuff out. But now I can just be like, okay, what's the date? This is what's happening, and it's like, got it. It's just, yeah, I still can't quite believe it. It is just great. And last but not least, I have got the Country Wisdom and Folklore diary. I love this diary. I'm going to show you the little extra things they sent me first. They've sent me this beautiful advent calendar. They've sent me one of these the last couple of years now, and they're so cute. They've got lovely little pictures behind them. I'm not going to open them because I do like to not peep, but I will be using that in December. Yeah, really nice. They also sent me the calendar, the wall calendar. Let me show you. So the Country Wisdom and Folklore are very committed to sustainability, to protecting Earth, and so everything is printed with earth-friendly inks. You know, there's no toxic stuff in here. You can see that it's got the focus of this diary is different in that it's about preserving our folklore, and this is based in Britain, you know, so it's the folklore of the British Isles. If you're interested in that, then these products, these things from the Country Wisdom and Folklore people are just, oh, they're so great, they're so good. So this tells you, if the calends on January be smiling and gay, you'll have wintry weather till the calends of May. And so it tells you some things about like the folklore of that month. And it has got like sunrise, sunset times, moonrise, moonset times. It has got the full moons and the new moons on here. But this is not about astrology, this planner and this wall planner and this diary. This is more about the earth and more about the folklore, the sort of like the way that people relate to the earth, you know. So this one is, we've seen a lot of weather lore in this particular diary. A wet March makes a bad harvest. A dry and cold March never begs its bread. So yeah, and what I love about it is I've had this diary for a few years now, and there's always new things in there that I haven't come across before, which is fun. In the middle of May comes the tail end of winter. Yeah. A good leak in June sets all in tune. I really love weather lore, and yeah, it's one of those things that I use a lot in my practice. So yeah, it's cool, it's fun. So it's not like, I was gonna say it's not like the most aesthetic. It's just not like it is pretty. Like, I do think it's pretty. I think the diary has got especially prettier and prettier every year. But it's the content. Oh, that is beautiful though, isn't it? It's the content of what is in this that makes it so valuable. And yeah, it's nice. I suppose it's not the most professional looking. I think that's what I mean. You know, it's not the most polished. It is more folksy. It is more like, you can see that the people who have created it are very, just love this stuff. They live and breathe this stuff, you know, and that makes it so kind of, the Mary Lloyd there, green Christmas, a white Easter, which, yeah, we tend to get more snow here at Easter than we do at Christmas in Wales. And then moon gardening. I knew I'd seen this somewhere. So they've got like a moon gardening chart at the back, which is showing you when to grow, when like you can harvest certain things, the seasonal food that is coming in those different places, which is really, really cool. A nice kind of like at a glance. So if you're a gardener who likes to use the moon signs, then this wall calendar is really, really great. Let's have a look at the diary. And like I said, I think this is getting prettier and prettier every year. They did do one that I loved a few years ago, quite a few years ago now, which had just like a brown, like a kind of rough brown, almost like craft papery type cover with just line art on it, which I thought was beautiful. But this is also, when I show you what's inside, oh, is it number 15? Okay, so is this the 15th year? Wow, I definitely haven't had 15 of them. I'll have to ask Annie at Talking Tree Books whether it is 15 years. It may well be. This diary has been printed on FSC paper and board using vegetable-based inks by our printer's short-run press. Our diary is produced with a carbon-neutral footprint. So you can see, like, it is very, it's a good choice. It's a choice you can feel happy about. You can feel happy with. This is new. They didn't have these last year. It's handy for like finding your place in the diary. So I tend to keep these with in my altar space. Actually, I don't actually use this as a diary at all, but I turn through it as we go through the year, and I'll read the different snippets of folklore as I go through the year as part of my morning spiritual practice. So yeah, I really, really love it. So the front cover is inspired by the major oak, which is the largest oak tree in Britain and is thought to be between 800 and 1,000 years old. Wow. I visited a 1,000-year oak in by Brecon last summer, which was amazing. So that is the oak tree. Yeah. So welcome to the 2025 and the Country Wisdom and Folklore Diary. Folklore is often considered to be at odds with contemporary society or even irrelevant because it is synonymous with the past, magic tradition and legends. But every once in a while its profile is raised again and it becomes newsworthy when it seems to offer a possible explanation for or reason behind a recent occurrence or an event that people have reinstated from past traditions into a new fair, festival or celebration. Interesting. I think that, like, I've definitely seen a resurgence of people being interested in more detailed folklore, you know, like with the like sort of Wiccan traditions and things like that. There was a lot of kind of like generic kind of stuff that came up, and people seem to be getting more interested now. And like, well, what was my actual local customs? What are my local folklores? And like, this diary is just a treat for that. Days of the week folklore. This is new as well. I was born on the Sabbath day. The child that is born on the Sabbath day is bonny and blithe and good and gay. Yeah, considered both a lucky and unlucky day to marry, depending on which rhyme you follow. So the first month of the new year, and I wanted to kind of show you, like, it's just got the sunrise and the sunset. It has got, like, if there's holidays on those pages as well. But there's, like I said, there's not astrological information as such in this diary. It is it's based in the folklore, and it has got some lovely art in here and also some photographs, which is really nice as well. So let me just, I'll flick through a little bit and then I'll stop and read you it just so you can see like what to expect. Basically every week has got like an accompanying page that has information about some local folklore, and this one is to do with Imbolc. But like I said, it's not the same old stuff that you're going to read everywhere. It is, you'll see things that you haven't seen in different places. Let's read this one. So the wise woman of Cinderford. Ellen Hayward was born in 1838 and lived in the village of Cinderford in Gloucestershire. She was known as a wise woman, herbalist and healer. People from the surrounding area would visit Ellen in her little cottage when they needed help, which Ellen often provided without charging a fee. She claimed to have cured 8 cases of cancer and would often take her clients to the healing waters of St. Anthony's Well, which was said to predate the arrival of the Romans in Britain. Things started to go wrong for Ellen in 1906 when she was visited by John Markey of nearby Blakely, who asked her to trace a sum of £50 which had gone missing. Ellen told Mr. Markey that he looked unwell and should return home to rest. After a few days, members of the Markey family began to go mad, with his daughter and granddaughter being sent to the local asylum. Then his wife ran off into the woods, returning a few days later, clutching a wooden staff for protection against witches. His son then went berserk, stabbing himself in the eye with the staff before he too was admitted to the asylum. The local police sergeant began a prosecution against Ellen after a local man claimed that she had made his pig sick and that he had also become ill. Questions were later asked in the House of Commons about what action will be taken by the authorities to suppress witchcraft. So this is in 1838. Ellen went on to successfully defend herself at Little Dean Jail, where her case was dismissed by a magistrate. Yeah. So little snippets of information, which you then, if that sparked your imagination, you can go on and follow that up then. So this one, look, is about dormice. Yeah, lots of good stuff. There's sometimes recipes in here as well, which is fun. You can see that the pages are color coded, so we're in spring now. So the pages are kind of like this light yellow color. Some of the folklore is about animals, some of it's about weather, sometimes it's human customs, trees. We can see the horse chestnut. It's lovely, really lovely, and really different. Like I always really appreciate it because it is so different from, a lot of the stuff that you find. Little historical bits of information, little place specific bits of information. It's an absolute treat. And yeah, I'm always very, very grateful when they send me a copy of this for reviewing each year, because it is just absolute treat, like I said. The Gold of Largo Law. For many years, it has been known to the locals of Largo Law on the Fife coast that below the law, the mountain, there is gold. In fact, whenever the locals see a sheep with a tinge of yellow wool, they are sure it has lain above the gold. There is one particular story of a spirit who knows the location of the gold, but he will only divulge the secret if he is approached. On one such night, a local shepherd from Balmain felt brave enough to ask the spirit about the location of the gold. The spirit told the shepherd to return the following night, and he would indeed tell him where the gold was, but on these conditions. If Auchendowney cock doesn't crow and the herd of Balmain his horn doesn't blow, I'll tell where the gold is in Largo Law. The shepherd, to be sure to gain the secret, made sure not a cock was spared in the arm of Auchendowney. He then went to speak with a local herder called Tommy Norrie, who was known to blow his horn, and made him promise not to do so at the allotted time on pain of death. So this shepherd has gone around like slaughtering all the cocks and threatening people. The brave shepherd approached the spirit at the given time, but as the spirit was about to speak, Tommy Norrie, forgetting his promise, blew on his horn. At this the spirit fled, saying, "Woe to the man that blew the horn, for out of that spot he shall never be born." As these words were spoken, Tommy Norrie dropped down dead, and his body could not be moved, as if stuck to the ground. His friends had to cover him with stones where he lay, creating a cairn for all to see. Suffice it to say, the gold was not recovered and remains buried to this day. Lots of interesting little bits and pieces, some of them quite depressing sometimes. Some Samhain divination recipes and some how to make a fortune-telling crowdie. Or crowdie, maybe. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. And interesting. So that takes us to the end of the diary. And then saying farewell to 2025. And a little bit about the moon and the moon cycles. I just tell you, during 2025, there'll be a black moon on the 23rd of August. This is a new conception with many different meanings. On this occasion, it means a third new moon in a season with 4 new moons. Another lunar event this year is a total lunar eclipse on the 7th of September. We'll see 2 super full moons on the 5th of November and the 4th of December. Yeah, so it's giving you a little bit of astrological information, but that is not the purpose of this diary. This diary is is folklore and place and weather. You know, it's just a treat. And you can see they do make lots of other things as well. They've got greetings cards, they've got like I said, these calendars, they've got advent calendars, lots of really cute things in their store as well, talking tree books. So yeah, so check that out. I think it's, especially if you're like interested in the UK folklore, then it's a really, really good choice. And actually that's a good, we will be ending this video now, but it's a good point to mention as well that these are all none of these are off Amazon. It's best if you can to buy these directly from the people who are creating them, because that way they get more of the money. And like the wee moon especially and the earth pathways are specifically functioning to generate money to give to good causes, you know, so there's that. The Honeycomb Collective is like a small business. I mean, it's a growing business, but it is a kind of small husband and wife team business. And so like you can only buy these things directly from them. That is the only place where you can buy these calendars. The Country Wisdom and Folklore, again, is a husband and wife small business, and they're just really lovely people, so I would definitely recommend buying it directly from them. Ritual is like, it's a more growing company. It's a female owned company which is growing. They have lots and lots of different products. The 15% off code, like I said, for this diary you can use for all of the products on their website. Their stamps, their stickers, they've also got like tarot decks, they've got lots of like homeware and things like that as well. They've got an awful lot of things on their website, so it's well worth going to check that out if you like the kind of like witchy aesthetic type stuff. They've got lots of very, very cool things on there as well. So not off Amazon, not generic. These are interesting things that you can set you up for 2025. As I said right at the very start, which feels ages ago for this video, I know it's gonna be really long. Do let me know if you're using something different. I've shown different ones, like I've made this video every year now for the past, I don't know, like 6-7 years maybe even, and there's always ones like, you know, there's always gonna be more that I could show, more different diaries, but these are kind of my favorite ones that I do use myself. But let us know in the comments, like, what do you use? Is there one specific to your place, to your time zone that you like to use? Why have you chosen it? Do you want the astrological information? Is it like more witchy stuff? Like I know there's a lot of like Llewellyn date books and diaries and things like that people like as well. There's the Stacey DeMarco ones, things like that. So yeah, share, so that this can be a resource for people who are looking for the choice that is right for them to go into 2025 and be like a really beautiful companion for them as they go through, for you as you go through 2025. Thank you so much for watching. Warmest blessings, and I will see you very soon.